Brain fog, decision fatigue, and lack of focus are a direct result of pushing through and trying to function in a state of burnout. But how exactly does this affect you, and what can you do to improve that mental clarity? Right? So burnout does make us forget things, right? It puts our brain on overdrive. It causes us to constantly think about too many things. Or if we've moved back into the survival part of our brain, logically, we're not fully engaged to think clearly because we're stuck down in, right, that brainstem. We're stuck down in that survival mode. This is where exhaustion and overwhelm make it harder to think clearly because we're overloaded with the emotion. We have maybe brain fog. That's what some people will call brain fog. I just can't think clearly. So burnout causes a disruption to the homeostasis of your mind and your body, which is when we're in that survival mode, energy is diverted to get us through that situation, meaning energy isn't focused on digesting food. It is focused on what's going on. I'm not safe. Let me get through this, right? That fight, flight, or freeze, which, as we talked about in a previous video, comes from your brain stem, which means the logical part of your brain up here in the forefront turns offline because we're functioning down at a lower state. So in this particular way of functioning, right? If we're in our survival brain, we're not functioning, we're not using energy in the way that we would like to, then let's talk about how we can overcome that. What can we do, right? Because when we're in our logical brain, we can reason, we can focus, we can make decisions, and we want to get that back online so that we can focus clearly. So there are some simple tricks you can use to clear your brain and focus better. This might include taking micro breaks or pauses, such as just pause, lean back in your chair, take a couple of deep breaths, or get up and move. Walk to a colleague's space and say hello, walk outside, get some fresh air. When we talk about micro breaks and micro pauses, this isn't necessarily the 15-minute break or 30-minute lunch. This is what can you do for 2 minutes or 5 minutes to just give your brain a break. Your brain needs a break, especially in between tasks. Maybe you need to schedule tasks in your calendar based on when they're due. I to this day still use a paper planner. I use it to write down my to-do list, right? So what do I need to work on? Business tasks, client tasks, but I write it in the planner based on when I'm going to work on it. So what do I have to get done this week? That is all I write for this week. So you can put it in your electronic calendar, paper calendar, whatever. But when I just used to have one piece of paper that had this really long to-do list, I would feel overwhelmed. Like, which one do I start with? Where do I go? And I might just freeze for a minute. But when we take all of that off of our desk and we schedule things according to, I can work on this week because it's due first, we clear our mind from all of that extra clutter and constantly thinking about this never-ending to-do list, because let's be honest, it doesn't end, right? So schedule them out accordingly, which helps you prioritize them, but it helps clear it out so you don't have to keep thinking about it, taking those micro breaks. What about 3-minute exercises to reset your overwhelmed brain, right? This could include writing everything down that we just talked about, ways to clear your mind. It could be taking those 5 slow, deep breaths, stretching, going for a walk, or doing calisthenics away from your workstation. So if I was to build in this 3-minute exercise, you can call it exercise or routine, but a 3-minute reset your brain routine, what I would probably do, and this is something actually I have done, I will take 30 seconds and write down all those things that are in my mind that I need to work on. And I'm going to put them in my calendar according to when I'm going to work on them. I'm going to take a couple of deep breaths And then I'm going to get up and walk away from my office. I'm going to walk down the stairs because I'm working at home. But if I was in an office, I would go walk outside, walk around the building, and take deep breaths while I'm walking. What this does is, one, when you clear your mind first and then you get up and do something different, do something that does not include work, you're giving your brain that pause, that ability to process what you just worked on and let it go. So then you can come back and work on it. So you see, the power of micro breaks for mental clarity provides that break. It provides that recovery. And when you do that, it actually boosts your focus and your energy, because you're not jumping from one thing to the next. You're not constantly thinking, what do I have to do when I finish this? What's coming up next? You're giving yourself that permission to pause for a minute. And so as we wrap up, let's talk about why multitasking wrecks your focus, right? Our brain is not designed to work on multiple things at one time, because the truth is you can't work on multiple things at once. They might be running in the back of your mind, but you can only accomplish one thing at a time. You can only intentionally focus on one thing at a time. So when we try to focus on multiple things, that requires a lot of extra energy, and we just don't focus very well, right? We don't get as much done as we want to. Whereas if we slow down and do one task at a time. So it does take more energy to focus on multiple things.